Every single day, the financial markets are just this massive storm of data, right? Trades, quotes, pure noise. But what if I told you that hidden inside all that chaos are these little whispers, signals from people who know something the rest of us don't? Well, today, we're going to go hunt for those signals.
So, here's the million-dollar question, right? In this absolute flood of data, can you actually spot the footprints of an insider? Someone who's trading on secret info before anyone else knows about it? I mean, it's like trying to find a single footprint in the middle of a hurricane. Seems impossible, doesn't it?
For decades, people have been trying to track these informed traders. Let's call them what they are, the sharks of the market. But here's the thing about sharks. They're smart. They know people are looking for them, so they do everything they can to cover their tracks. It makes them incredibly hard to follow.
And the old ways of doing this? Honestly, they're just too slow, too clunky. Some of them require a crazy amount of computing power. Others need special, proprietary data that you and I just can't get our hands on. And the biggest problem? Almost none of them work in real time. So by the time you've spotted the shark, guess what? It's long gone.
So a really smart team of researchers decided to just flip the whole problem on its head. They said, okay, what if we stop trying to chase the shark? Instead, what if we watch the lifeguards? The high-frequency liquidity providers who are always in the water. What does their behavior tell us?
Okay, so to really get this breakthrough, we first have to understand how the market works on just a normal, boring day. And it's basically this constant, super high-speed competition. A little something researchers call the undercutting dance. Undercutting sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Imagine you're trying to buy a stock, and the best offer out there is, say, $10.01. A liquidity provider, one of our lifeguards, will jump in and offer it for $10 flat. They're just undercutting the competition by a single penny, a single tick to get to the front of the line and win your business. And this isn't happening once or twice. This is happening thousands of times a second. It's wild.
So what you're seeing here is a typical run. You start with that little gap between the buy and sell price. Then, provider A nudges the bid price up just a little, and bam, almost instantly, provider B undercuts them, nudging it up again. This little back and forth, this dance, just keeps going until a regular sell order comes in and snags the best price. That right there, that's the normal, healthy heartbeat of the market.
All right, so if that's the normal dance, the really brilliant insight here comes from figuring out what it means when the music just suddenly stops.
Think about it from their perspective. These liquidity providers are lifeguards. They make their money on these tiny, tiny price differences from normal, everyday trading. So the absolute last thing they want is to get stuck in a trade with a shark who knows the stock price is about to completely tank. So, what do you think they do when they smell blood in the water?
You got it. They back off. They stop competing so aggressively with each other. That frantic undercutting dance, it slows to a crawl, or maybe it stops completely because nobody wants to be the one left holding the bag. And that is the core idea. The sudden absence of this normal activity, this sudden caution, that's the footprint. It's a signal of fear you can actually measure.
So, with this idea in mind, the researchers went and built a new tool. One designed specifically to measure this fear and turn it into a cold, hard number.
They call it QID-DRESS. Now, don't worry about the name or the super complex math behind it. All you really need to know is what it does. And it does one thing really well. It spots when that undercutting dance becomes abnormally slow. Think of it like a fear gauge for the market.
Let's break it down. It's really simple. On the left, you've got a normal market. It's low risk. You see tons of these little price improvements. The undercutting dance is fast and furious. But then, look at the right. This is a fearful, high-risk market. The price improvements just dry up. The dance has basically stopped. So the whole thing boils down to this one crucial point. A high QID risk score means high risk. It means the undercutting is abnormally low, and that is a huge red flag that someone with insider info is making moves in the market.
Okay, look, it's a great theory, it sounds fantastic, but the big question is, does this fear gauge actually work in the real world? Well, the researchers decided to put it to the ultimate test.
And they didn't mess around. They didn't just look at, general market news. As they say right in the paper, they got their hands on the exact timestamps of prosecuted illegal insider trades. We're talking about real-life cases where hackers stole information and traded on it. This let them see if their fear gauge spiked at the precise moments a crime was literally in progress.
And, well, look at this. This is what they found. It's pretty amazing.
In your normal, everyday 5-minute interval, the QI dress level is down here, nice and low. But in the exact 5-minute windows where they knew illegal trades were happening, QI DRIS just shoots through the roof. The lifeguards were scared, and this new measure picked it up plain as day.
And we're not talking about a small jump here. On average, that QID score was about 0.3 standard deviations higher during these criminal trades. Now, if you're not a stats person, let me put it this way. That's like hearing a blaring fire alarm in a quiet library. It is a massive, unmissable signal that something is very, very wrong.
But wait, there's more. The researchers found that QID-RES just blows the older measures out of the water. It spikes more reliably before a company's earnings news comes out. It's so sensitive it can even detect when insider info about one company spills over and starts affecting its competitors. Get this, it can even help predict when a company is about to drop a surprise press release out of nowhere.
So what's the big picture here? What does this all mean? It means we have a genuinely powerful new tool, a completely new kind of barometer for measuring a type of risk in the market that's always been hidden until now.
So let's wrap this up. The big takeaway here is that we have this new tool, QVidris, and it's surprisingly simple and intuitive. It works by focusing on the fear of the lifeguards, not trying to chase the sharks. And because of that, it gives us this near real-time view of hidden risk. And best of all, since it uses basic data, you can compute it for pretty much any stock out there.
At the end of the day, this research has given us a totally new way to look at the market, not by looking for action, but by looking for the absence of it. And it leaves you with this really fascinating question, doesn't it? If we can now spot the footprints of fear, what other hidden emotions, what other secret behaviors are just sitting there in the data waiting for us to discover them?